And we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, Chris. Hello. Yeah, who are you? There's a new person between us. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me, Chris and Maurice. I met you a few weeks ago personally, Maurice, actually online. Chris, I know for a longer time. I'm Renske van Kollenburg. I'm based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and you invited me to co-host today because there are so many people, so many attendees today. So thank you for this. I'm looking forward to it, Maurice.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to have you here. And of course, we are at the moment living in a more powerful world where we all are in this together. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's going to be a most valuable webinar. Actually, it's my 22nd webinar in the lockdown.
22nd?
22nd, yeah.
Wow.
Let us come in. Tell us where you're from. Macedonia. We have Macedonia. We have UK. Do you see that? We have Portugal. A beautiful connection to Chris, of course. Where are you coming from?
Me? Oh, I have no idea anymore. We're global citizens. I'm based in the Netherlands, and I've lived in France, I've lived in Australia, I've lived in America. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of countries pop up here. That's awesome.
I saw Beatrice as well. We know her very well.
South Africa, Luxembourg. I think we have every country in it. Ukraine. I think it's a power webinar for planet Earth.
Planet Earth. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names in there. Oh,
India.
Yeah.
Norway, Albania, Sudan. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for sharing where you're from. Hungary. Germany, of course, Germany, Nelly. Happy to have you here. Yeah, we have not much time, do we, Chris?
We got time. We got 90 minutes. It's 3 minutes in. We're waiting. Still, people are joining.
Turkey, Algeria, and most beautiful place is Valkenburg, of course, the Netherlands.
That's from the south where you're from, right, Maurice?
Malawi, yeah, it's close to. It's you must go there in summer. South Africa,
I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Oudersluis, Netherlands, Jamaica. The other side. Tell me, Latoya, what's the time over there in Jamaica? It's unbelievable. Just share it in the chat. What is the time where you are? Switzerland, Geneva. We have everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Shall we start? I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I'm really looking forward to this one. Renske?
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining today. I'm, as I said, really, really happy to join myself. I was one of the attendees myself. I subscribed for this webinar as well, Maurice, obviously, because I know you and I know Chris personally. And now I can be part of it, which is even better. So it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to the coming 90 minutes. Let me first introduce myself a little bit more for the people that don't know me yet that are watching today. I come from the music industry. I come from the electronic music industry. I work there as an interviewer, a journalist. I moderate panels at music conferences. I host award shows, and I'm an international DJ myself. What I really like about that job, especially the interviewing part, is I get to meet so many amazing people, artists as well, and interviewing them. So getting their stories out. And this is, it's super related to what we're going to do today, how to enable others to be better speakers, to get their stories out. And Chris will give them amazing insights today. I know that because I have been trained by Chris myself. I decided to start speaking more as well, besides all my work doing in the music industry with interviewing and DJing myself. Why I did that was I had a really huge burnout myself, and I have been working with amazing artists like Avicii and other people that
Van Buuren, of course. Armin van Buuren.
Armin van Buuren, yes, Armin van Buuren. Nile Rodgers was one of my highlights. He's not an electronic music, well, he is an electronic music professional, but he's not a DJ. But it was amazing to meet him and to speak with him. George and Avicii, that was one of my all-time favorites as well. So yeah.
Renske, sorry to interrupt you. What about Boy George? I don't get that.
Well, he's a DJ as well.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I have worked with him several times, also during his singing gigs. Did a really nice interview of an hour. I got 10 minutes and we spoke for an hour. This is how nice it was. He's a very, very special, kind, warm person. So I worked with him over the years several times, but also people like Will.i.Am, who's more like a pop artist. I'm really happy to have been, also going outside the electronic music industry a little bit to more pop artists, hip hop artists, and even disco heroes like Nile Rodgers. Amazing, yeah. I've spoken with so many amazing people, and what I was missing sometimes is when they are such intriguing personalities. I wanted to get more of their personality out there, more of their stories, more of their, and not just speak about music, but the people behind the music. And last year, I decided to take on public speaking more and more myself. I was on stages as well, hosting and moderating panels but public speaking to me became very important because I worked with a person like Avicii, who is not amongst us anymore, because of the music industry can be super demanding. It's a high demanding, fast moving environment, and people are dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, burnouts, anxiety, and myself included. So I speak about that right now in and outside the music industry. And this is actually how I met Chris. I wanted to upgrade my skills as a public speaker, and I started working with Chris. So I'm trained by Chris. Then we started a coaching together. And today, we even already did in the lockdown, we did a webinar together on speaking for a really nice group of people. So this is how it can go when you reach out to people that can upgrade your skills and see you for who you are, and give coaching on the areas that specifically are meant for you. Every person is different, and this is exactly what Chris is doing as well with his work as in his coaching. Yeah. So now we're here together. It's really, really, really amazing.
Faster than ever, because I had a conversation through Chris. Thank you for that. Meeting you, of course, we all know it's a hard life in the music industry. But you see, for example, Armin van Buuren. Thank you, Hans, for sharing the website to Armin van Buuren. He shows himself also at business events to show the real person behind that Armin van Buuren. Mm-hmm. And of course, we all know life is ups and downs.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, in fact, it's about how do you meet people, how do you invest in people to get to know each other, and that's a connection with you, Chris. How we met. Tell us about that.
How we met?
Yes.
Boy, that's a lot.
Share that, or is it just between us? And by the way, in Jamaica, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for joining in that early morning.
Yeah. How we met, like, if you don't even know this story, I've never told this story before, but I decided to become a speaker a few years ago. And actually, before I even got trained as a speaker, I went to Google and I Googled speaking agents in the Netherlands. And I reached out to the first 7 results. And you were one of them. I think 5 out of the 7 reached back to me. I was in Australia at the time. And we had a great discussion on Skype. And what really made the difference? Well, Veronique, of course, who's in the chat moderating. Veronique, thank you very much, because what she saw was a video that was filmed of me speaking back in 2016, something I wasn't even aware was made, but it was put up on YouTube. And the event managers did a great job of filming my keynote. It was an opening keynote for one of the largest conferences in Stockholm in online marketing. And it was actually sponsored by Microsoft, and it was an invitation by Microsoft. And I had no idea. I just got up there on stage and someone was filming me. It was put on YouTube. And Veronique saw it, she shared it with you, you loved it, and you reached out to me, and that's how it all started.
It's true. Yeah. And then what happened?
And then the hard slog of actually transitioning from a career, a six-figure career as a high-level strategist, giving up a job, giving up income, having to take risk, having to invest in building a new business. That was in August 2018. And I made the choice to start with zero. I made the choice to not have any money from day one, zero, and everything I was going to build, I would build through speaking or speaking-related activities. And as you know, we worked hard on that, Maurice. Within 3 months, I did my TEDx talk, something that you called me up the day before, and I had to prepare in the morning and give it in the afternoon. By month 4, I was fully booked. Month 5, I think you put out a press release, fastest growing speaker in the Netherlands. And by month 6, which I didn't ask you to do this, but you put out the top 10 speakers to consider in 2019. And I happened to find myself on the #1 spot. And that went out to all the event managers. It went up on events.nl on the homepage. And that resulted in a lot of opportunities to speak and to get a message out, to get my story out to the world. And that was the foundation that built a career in speaking, and also gave rise to 10x Speaker, of course.
Yeah, and it was a straight way forward, or was it more like this?
Oh, yeah, very, very deep troughs and trenches, and very, very high peaks. It was just like mountain climbing.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how sometimes I could not follow you. Where is he going? But for me, I share the same story. Life is an ups and downs, and then suddenly you feel something is right, and it gives you energy, right, Chris? And Renske as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also experienced a life story. It's amazing. You must know more about Renske. Please connect with her after the webinar, because she had a great story to tell.
So on Renske, Maurice, we met in, I think, December. We started coaching in January. I only asked her yesterday to host this event, only yesterday, because as a speaker, and one of the things that really allowed me to grow so quickly is not to see the world in terms of problems, which it is, problems that we solve and grow through those problems, but to actually see those problems as opportunities, opportunities to grow. And so you're always not in a problem and complaining mindset, but in a solutions and opportunity mindset. Mm-hmm. And that's the finish of my TEDx talk, where the last 2 minutes is really my philosophy on life. And so that's why I asked Renske only yesterday, although I even knew 2 weeks ago that she would be co-hosting this event. I didn't ask her then. I asked her yesterday. She had to pass the test. She had a no problems attitude. And she went, no problem, I'll do it. So and that's the mindset you need to have as a speaker, because when you're starting out as a speaker, you get all of the last minute jobs, right? The good speakers, the good brands, the speakers that are on the circuit, they get booked 6 months ahead of time. As a starting speaker, you don't have that luxury. You have to be ready on the spot, on the minute, to just get asked in the morning and do it in the afternoon. And this is one of the mindsets you need to grow as a speaker, especially in your first year, because you're going to have to take on sometimes the shitty jobs, the gigs that aren't paying you anything, the gigs that take an enormous amount of efforts, but that gives you practice terrain. It gives you opportunity to get your story out. It gives you opportunity to get feedback. And through that, you grow. Mm-hmm. And so I asked Renske to co-host this just yesterday, and here she is.
Yay! And Chris, yes, you thought you're teaching that in your training, definitely, to become a no problem speaker. Maybe also coming from the music industry, it's like I said, it's a fast moving environment. So I'm quite used to. I'm happy I passed the test though, but I think it's already a little bit in my system as well, working in the music industry. And also, you also already mentioned your TEDx talk, but there's a great story about this behind that, right? About the no problem attitude.
Yeah, so I don't know about, let's have a look because there are a lot of people on this call. I see over 100 people on the webinar now. And most of you are here because you want to either get your story out or because you feel there's value in there. The crazy thing about a personal story is you don't know it's valuable. It's yours. You've got it. It's in you. You've been living with it all your life. It's your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It only becomes valuable when other people hear it and act on it and find value in it. Now you start to realize what your life means for other people. Yeah. And you don't actually get to know about that value until you get it out there. So it's like the chicken or the egg, right? And so it takes a little bit of courage sometimes to dig deep and find out, why do you do what you do? What's been the meaning of your life? What things have you learned that you could pass back to your 20-year-old self or 15-year-old self or 7-year-old self and help people in that situation, because they don't know what you know today. And so
what are we going to do today? What are we going to do, Chris? What's the key issue? We are going to the 4 biggest lessons to become a powerful.
Yeah. And the very first one is really overcoming your nerves, but I call it more hesitation about public speaking. Overcoming the hesitation when someone says, hey, there's an opportunity for you to speak to our team, to our organization, to our industry. It's this Friday. The person that was meant to speak is sick. I know that you have a good story on this. I know that you're doing some great work here. Would you do it? And most people say no, because they're too busy, they're not ready, and all sorts of reasons come up why not to do it. So the very first step in really becoming a speaker and an influencer and someone that really inspires other people is getting out of your own way, right? Getting from a hesitant phase where you're looking at things around you as problems and you want to sort of push them away, to getting in a very excited stage because you're ready. You're ready with the right mindset and the practice. And when an opportunity comes up, you take it. So you go from hesitance to excitement. And that really requires you not to get rid of your nerves, because the bigger the stakes, the more nervous you're going to get. And the bigger the stakes, that's what you want. That really takes you out of your comfort zone. It makes you grow, right? It's these dreams that we have. And so it's about managing your nerves. And that's one of the first things I cover in the 10X Speaker course in lesson 4, on how to manage those nerves effectively, not try to get rid of them. At some point, I became very confident about speaking, and I wasn't getting as nervous as I would have liked to, because, I'd been giving this keynote for so many times. It gets very boring after a while. And so you have to find ways to make it challenging for yourself. Have something that you really want to get out of it. And it's going to make you nervous, because what if you don't get it? What if they don't like it? What if the response isn't what you expect it to be? And so really trying to manage those nerves. And all I do is I have a process on how to get into the right state of mind and the right state of body, so that I give myself the best chance on a stage to actually manifest those results, to actually get those results out of that keynote. These are called strategic objectives. And the very first thing, I'll just cover speaker state for this, because it's covered all in lesson 4 of the 10X Speaker course. And speaker state is really a process on how to get your mind and your body straight and in the right position. And the very first thing that you must remind yourself before stepping on any stage, getting in front of any group of people, is remember to breathe. That's the one thing that most nervous speakers don't do. They They hyperventilate, they hold their breath, they try to get out everything out so quickly as possible, and they take another breath and then get it out so quickly, and nobody can understand them. And all they want to do is get off the stage, because it's very, very nerve-wracking to be up on that stage. They're letting their nerves take them over. And so reminding yourself to breathe deeply, pausing, and allowing the audience to catch up with what you're saying is one of the most important things you can do as a speaker. And so just before I get on stage, there's 5 things that I do. The first one is breathe deeply. And it's the basis to meditation, right? Breathing and becoming aware of your breath. Plus, when you breathe, it tells your body that everything is okay. If you hold your breath, it means there's something wrong. This is programmed into our DNA. It's the fight or flight response. When you see all of a sudden you didn't expect it, but some lion pops up in front of you because it's escaped from the zoo, the first thing that you do is it tells your body there's something wrong. And so if you go, when you're about to step up on stage, it tells your body there's something wrong. Adrenaline gets released, cortisol gets released, and you don't want that. And so you can biohack your body into thinking that everything's okay. And you do that by breathing deeply. So I do 5 deep breaths. I hold for 5 and I exhale for 5. And I repeat that 5 times. The second thing to getting into speaker state is your eyes. Make sure that you're not staring at anything. Staring means danger. And gazing means everything is okay. Imagine that lion, right? This is how we've been for millions of years, right? We've had to fight lions and hyenas, and when they're there, it's good that we have these responses, because we need to climb up a tree or run or do something, otherwise they're going to eat us. That's not the case now today, right? But it's still programmed into our DNA. So when we see that lion, and we stare at it, because we stare at the danger. So what I do is I gaze. I don't stare at any particular point in the room. I just gaze over the heads, and I do the audience a service, because now everybody thinks I'm connecting with all of them, every single one of them individually throughout the whole keynote. I'm looking at everybody and I'm gazing over their eyes. Plus, it tells my body that everything's okay. The third thing, we fear what we want, and the more we want it, the more we fear it. The more we fear it, the more we want it. It means that the biggest problems in your life, the biggest obstacles, the biggest challenges are your only way forward if you want to grow. You have to deal with them. You have to solve them. And it means that if the stakes are high, if you really want that job, or if you really want that relationship, if you're in love and you really want them, what if they reject you? What if you don't get it? What if you don't get that job? The more we want something, the more we fear it. And so what I do is I program myself, because the more you want out of your presentation, the more nervous you're going to get. So I just choose to see it going really, really well, because nervousness and excitement are the exact same emotion. When you're nervous, you sweat, you shake, you pant, hormones get released into your body. When you're excited, think about it. You do the same thing. You'll sweat, you'll blush, you'll shake. And the only difference is the outcome you envisage for yourself. If you envisage a bad outcome, you're going to be nervous, or you're going to interpret these feelings as nervousness. If you envisage a good outcome, a very great outcome, something that you really want, you're going to start feeling a lot more excited. Now, easier said than done. It takes a lot of courage to do this. It takes entrusting in a process. And the process is to understand that everything starts in your mind. Your mind controls your body. And when you're thinking positive thoughts, your body's going to start releasing hormones and chemicals that are going to help you act to get those things. If you're thinking negative thoughts, your body and your nonverbal communication is going to act, and you're going to respond to these thoughts. And people are going to see that, because most of the communication, most of the information you sent is nonverbal. It's 50% of everything you send is nonverbal. So see it going really, really well. Force yourself to see it going really, really well. The fourth thing, and the thing that I see many, many speakers lacking, is be very, very clear on the message. What is that one thought, that one idea, that one thing, that one message you're sending? And ask yourself, if I was to run into them 10 years from now, just like that, just run into them on the street, This is the first thing they're going to say. Hey, I know you. You're the guy that did this or said this. That's the message you're trying to send. So be very, very clear on that, because when your North Star is clear, there are a million ways to get there. And so when you're standing up on a stage, whether you're being heckled or it's not going very well or the technology is not working, you know where you're taking them. You're taking them to that destination. And there are a million ways to get there. And you adapt because you've got your destination straight. And the fifth and final thing that I remind myself every time I get up on stage is never, ever let them see you nervous. It's a sign of inauthenticity. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's, of course, programmed into our DNA to be nervous when a ton of people are looking at us, but it doesn't help to let them know. And the problem is when you let them know is that it makes you even more nervous, because now you know that they know that you're nervous. Plus, it does something very bad to your psychology, because anything good they say about your keynote, about your speech, about your message, you're going to take that as sympathy because you were inauthentic up there. You told them you were nervous. And so you're going to be thinking, you're going to be saying, thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback. Oh, I'm really happy. Thank you. Thank you. But you're going to be thinking, they're just saying that to make me feel good. They knew I had a tough time up there. And it's crazy, but it works with your psychology. And so get into the habit of never, ever letting them see you nervous. Now, you might be very nervous up there, but this is a process to manage those nerves. And the key is repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skill. Repeat this at least 5 times, and you will see that you will start to get better and better and better at presenting. After 10 times, you'll be a natural. Most people never get past the first time. Thank
you, Chris, and especially in the beginning, making the connection with nature. Of course, last webinar, it was about nature, climate change, and we talked about meditation, how important it is to really feel nature, to eat healthy, to connect with other cultures, learn from each other. I think it's most essential at the moment. I think this is a lesson what we learn from this whole lockdown. And we are in this together. We are all human beings. And yeah, you know my background. And I'm not sure if everyone knows who I am, but my background is just I'm living a life in my business that is also my personal life. I'm connecting and engaging people and see they belong together to do something. And in fact, it is the speaking and event industry. And I totally resonate with Renske. It's a hard business sometimes. And sometimes, connecting with Chris, you go to a speaker again and you see him or her speaking with the same slides, with the same words, with the same jokes as 5 years. That made me crazy. And in the last crisis, 2008, I really felt do I belong in this world? Do I belong in this world? Because for who am I doing it? So I only focus now on purpose-driven speakers who see that story as a start of creating a movement. And the rest is action, taking action. And those speakers, you feel them. They are breakable. And they also sometimes show that they are nervous. They really show that they are nervous. Why not? So that's my question to Chris. Show your humanity nowadays. I think it's most important. Why not show you're nervous?
At the end of the day, it takes a lot of courage to get up in front of a group of people and really have the courage to say what's on your mind, to share something that could make you very vulnerable. It might seem counterintuitive at first until you start to get the thank yous, until you start to get the praise, until you start to get people telling you that what you just said has just changed my life. Mm-hmm. That gets you into a state of, oh man, you're the only one getting in your own way. And probably what's happened is that we've overthought. We're overthinking things, mm-hmm. right? We're overthinking things, and that overthinking about ourselves and all the fear and insecurity and all the nerves and all the hard work that has to go into building a speaker business, it's getting in our own way, and we overthink it, and years pass. So what I did was, one of the little philosophies I have, in order to overcome your fear of public speaking, stop thinking about yourself. It's very, very simple. It's not about you up there. That is the spotlight effect. It's natural to think that when the spotlights are on me, it's about me. The lights are on me. They're listening to me. It's about me. But I learned very quickly that it's not about you at all, because everyone in that audience are not thinking about how good you are. They're thinking about what's in it for me. What can I get out of this to help me grow, to help generate results? And when you can start to think about that you are just a medium, recombining thoughts and information that you've gotten from somewhere else. You didn't come up with anything. Everything's been imposed onto you. The only thing you have to offer to this world is your perspective. Your perspective on this massive information and beliefs, and all imposed to you by other people and through your experiences, of course. And this perspective, no one has the same perspective as you. You could have 1,000 speakers talking on innovation, and it's 1,000 different perspectives. Yeah. And that is now about knowing that it's not about you. It's about what can you say to make them better? What can you say to help them grow, whether it be personally or their businesses? And oh boy, that was so freeing for me, because it was like, oh, it's not about me. I can get out of my own way, and I can just get the job done. And at the end of the day, it's in lesson 2 of the course. That's why it's right up front in lesson 2. It's this fear of judgment. That's what it comes down to, what other people think of you. And there's a little rule. And I know some of you know this because you've done the course, or you've seen me or heard me say it from the stage, but many of you don't. It's a little rule I got out of the Success Principles from Jack Canfield. One of the best books ever. Read it, Success Principles. And it's actually the first or second one. It's very early in the book. And it's the 18-40-60 rule. And the rule goes a little something like this. At 18 years old, all you think about is what other people are thinking of you. Self-image. You're constantly busy building that self-image, from your makeup to your clothes, to what you do, to who you hang out with, to what you say or don't say. Now, you don't know this yet when you're young, but when you hit 40, or you get into your 40s. So for some people, it's a little bit earlier. The women are a bit more mature. For some people, it's a bit later. The men are a bit more immature. And for me, it happened around 42. And when you turn and get into your 40s, you start to realize, you start not to give a damn about what anybody thinks of you. You start to tell yourself, screw the world. I'll do me. Thank you very much.
When? What age, you say?
Around your 40s. Midlife crisis, they call it sometimes.
I'm starting my children already to live that life, because yeah, I think it's most important to show you, and you know what's standing on the speaker bureau side. Please, speakers, be the story. Not only tell the story, just be the story. Show who you are, because there's a lot of reasons for that other people can learn from you. From what I see in this chat, amazing. Nepal, South Africa, all kind of people. Thank you, Nina, for the compliment. All kind of people. Germany, don't forget Germany, but all kind of people with so different backgrounds, beautiful backgrounds, and in this lockdown, this year is a crazy year for all of us. And it's
so, Maurice, unfortunately, most people only realize that in their 40s. So it's great. How if us 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds could be telling the kids a little bit more about that nobody's thinking of you. So start thinking about yourself, or start thinking about other people. Then that liberates them. That liberates them to have a voice. That liberates them to fear that judgment a little bit less. So as the rule goes, as you get into your 60s, you start to finally realize that all this time, nobody's been thinking about you at all. And you've been spending so much time, so much energy worrying about what other people were thinking about you when they weren't. We're all thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
And boy, that is lesson 2 of the course. And that is the one and single biggest thing that stopped me getting from a stage. And when I realized that, it just unleashed. And it happened at 42. I'm 45 now. I'm 3 years into my speaking career. And it just unleashed. And that's why 10x speaker, when you know this thing and you can act on it, it just 10x's.
Also, Chris, I was looking in the chat, and the fear management is a very important topic. Also, I saw somebody, I think it's Simon, he's coming from the music industry, like I am, and all the things that you said and that you're teaching in your course and that you just explained to us are so applicable to the music industry. All these things for me as a public speaker also count for me when I go on stage as a host or as a DJ. So many artists are facing anxiety and fear to go on stage. They're vulnerable. And I do the same things there. I breathe, I gaze. I have been in front of hosting a award show in front of 35,000 people. What do? I make a connection with everybody in the room, exactly how you just explained. Because otherwise they stay this little dark spot that you're talking to and you're not connecting really. And as a DJ, you do the same. It's not about me. It's about the people on the dance floor. I'm telling a story with music or with words, but it's not about me. And to overcome that fear and anxiety, you can use and implement all these techniques that you just explained. The breathing, the gazing, we fear what we want because we do want to do that amazing gig in Ibiza or wherever the best clubs in the world, but it's scary as well. And nowadays there are always cameras on you as well, streaming or live streaming, so it's so valuable for many areas in people's lives, not just in public speaking. I think it's very valuable information for people that are on this webinar. I could see it in the chat as well. So yeah. So
Renske, the reason why I'm coaching and mentoring you, it's not for your celebrity status. It's not for your awesome looks. For one very specific reason. And that is that you have a story that can literally affect and change millions of people because you've suffered from a severe burnout. You know how to deal and heal from stress and from anxiety. And I said at the beginning of this lockdown, at the beginning of this crisis, this is not a viral epidemic. The crisis isn't a health crisis. This is an overpopulation crisis. We're putting too much demands on the system. And the system isn't built for 7.5 billion people. And not yet. Technology, we hope, will solve for a lot of that. And the biggest effect of this crisis, whether it be health or financial or whatever, is going to be burnt out people. People in a lot of stress, people with a lot of anxiety that just have to get on with their lives, feed their families, grow their careers, impact the world the way they want to world, and live a great life, a healthy life, a beautiful life. And they're going to need what you know. And they don't know that yet. They probably haven't hit their first serious bout of stress and anxiety yet. And so this is the power of story and the power of your experiences. When you have those experiences, whether it be, I don't know, having had an abortion or having all these terrible things that can happen to us, sometimes the most powerful stories are found in the things that you wouldn't dare to share with anybody. That's where the powerful stories are found. The stories that make you so emotional. If I was to ask you, tell me that story, and you go, oh no, I'm not sharing that one. That's the story you need to be sharing.
It's true. It's true, Chris. Making that connection. What I'm doing now, and Hans shared the Speakers Bro side. What I'm doing now is showing more me, myself, and I connected that with what I was doing in history. But I was blind for seeing that was my passion. I launched last year bookingworldspeakers.com. It's totally different than what Speakers Bro is doing. It's more all in this together. How can we create value for one another? Not only speakers to event organizers, but also speakers with one another. Building that ecosystem, that community that is most necessary in the world. Because all was money driven in the speaking industry. Also was money driven. Choose your story. That's one. Not only for one human being, but also for organizations, speakers, bros. That is very important. And from here to of course, Chris, I'm not that serious guy. I also like jokes. And Christine is really waiting in the chat for answering that question. How about if you see someone using your image and your jokes and you are next on stage? What are you doing there?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So she, for example, she has to speak, and before you, there's another speaker, and he or she is using the same jokes that you want to do. What are you doing?
So, callbacks are some of the most powerful things you can do in speaking. Acknowledge her jokes, and make fun of it, or make it even better. Acknowledge it. Bring it to your topic. Recognize her for it. Praise her for it. And so callbacks are some of the most important and most powerful things you can do. And where I say that the power in speaking isn't the speaking. I'm sorry, everyone can get up there and blurb out some words. The real power in speaking is in the ability to listen. The ability to listen to who you're speaking to and to speak in a highly relevant way to their needs, their wants, their desires, their problems, their challenges. And so a great speaker is a great listener. And what the most speakers do is that they are not listening to what's going on at the event. They are wanting to bring the best possible presentation to the stage for good reasons. They're probably being paid a big amount of money for it. They're super focused on that. And one thing that they're not going to know is the speaker before what they said, because they're going to be fully getting ready for their own talk. And that's where you bomb out. That's where if you get on stage and the speaker before has been referring to some of the jokes, saying some of the things that you're about to say, maybe covering the same topic, and you didn't know that, and you're up there giving your speech, the crowd's going to go, but the last speaker just said that. Were you listening? You're going to lose a lot of credibility with that. But what if you were up there integrating your talk into what other speakers were saying prior to you, and elevating the discussion and taking the discussion even further? One of the biggest reactions I got, and literally it was 400 people in the room and just about everybody put their hands up, is the speaker before me. I don't even remember the story yet, but he used this metaphor of a pilot in an airplane. And I had one of my segments in my keynote was about the same thing. It was making the same points. I actually didn't have to tell that story anymore. I just referred back. Do you remember the pilot in the airplane from so-and-so in the last week? Who remembers that story? Everybody put their hands up. Remember the point it made? Everybody kept their hands up. This is the point I'm trying to make now. I didn't have to tell my story. Someone had done it for me in a way that already triggered the audience, already connected with them in an emotional way. And I earned a lot of credibility, because now what's going on in their minds, he was a keynote speaker and he was listening to the speaker before. He wasn't thinking about himself and trying to prepare in his mind. He was actually engaged with the conference, and he took it a level higher. This is what makes a great speaker, great listening.
Again, I see similarities coming from the music industry. What if a DJ, and I always teach people when they want to become a professional, don't prepare your set like that. Like you, Chris, we're going to come to that later in our talk today. I think you're going to explain to people how they can prepare their speech, their talk, so it will not be a linear way of speaking. But that's the same with DJ sets. If you prepare your set from track 1 to your last one, and that hit is in there, and the DJ before you plays it as well, why would you do it again? Did you listen? Or maybe you weren't there yet because you were, arriving a bit late. But always adapt to what you see happening there in the room. So it applies on many levels, what you're saying here. It's really... So,
Renske, should we move on? Should we get into the crux of it?
Yes.
Cool. So, again, overcoming your fear, managing your nerves, getting out of your own way, having the courage to get up on stage, stand up and say what needs to be said is one of the first foundational enablers. But then when you're up there, most people are thinking, what if I forget what I say? What if the slides don't work? What if it doesn't go right? And so remember that no problems attitude that we started with? This is on stage too. Whether the slides don't work, the technology doesn't work, you don't have 30 minutes anymore, you got 10, or you don't have 10 minutes anymore, you've got an hour because the next speaker hasn't turned up. Always no problem. And you've come prepared. I never have slides, almost never. And if I have slides, it's to make beautiful pictures, it's to please the event manager, and it's to deliver information, because sometimes a picture is 1,000 words and a video is 1,000,000 words, right? You can say a lot through a great slide, but I don't rely on them. So if they don't work, no problem. I've got here my speech map. Very simple. It's 1 A4 sheet of paper, and I often have notes on the back of it. And I photograph that in my mind. I see my speech as an image. The worst thing you can do is try to memorize your speech, because our brain doesn't function that way. We can't, we're very, very bad at remembering things in a linear fashion, because think about it. We've been brought up with this, the alphabet song, right? If I asked you, what's the letter after K? What's the letter after T? What's the letter after H? Now, I know I've done this many times, probably don't have time to do it in the chat, but that's okay. About 20% of the people can do it. But the other 80% of us, we have to sing the song, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, right? We have to see the song to find out what comes next. When you're remembering your talk, if something happens, a little glitch, you lose train of thought. If you forget one word or one sentence, you forget everything after that and you black out, right? And then you have to go to your notes and your palm cards and all of that. I don't function that way. I remember things in terms of story maps. It's similar to a mind map. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is mind mapping. It really gives you a vision on the structure of something that you're trying to build or trying to remember. And a story map is really just a set of stories making points. And for each story, each point, you may have a slide associated with that. If it's, for example, one of your stories is really about a framework. Many of you saw that in the course. There are a lot of frameworks there. It's very hard to explain a framework in a story, but having the story to present the framework gives a lot more body to the framework. Why this framework? And so if I could draw on the board here, just a little crude version of a story map. Now, this is one of the ways that you're going to be able to always have a no problems attitude, because story maps have breathing room. You can tell a story in 2 minutes. You can tell it in 10 minutes. You can incorporate in your story map stories that you may tell or you may not tell. You could be telling 1 point or maybe 3 points. It really depends on the time you have and how the audience is engaging, because sometimes you get a lot of questions. You don't have time to say everything. And so a story map is always the same for me. It's the title of the talk is in the middle. It's in the middle. And then you have a beginning and an end. Up here, you have the event, because what happens is that you have, I'll show you here. You have, I can't find it. I have like hundreds of story maps, right? And so I can go back and look at, what did I say 2 years ago in this particular keynote? It's in my story map. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning must have 3 components, because the beginning of your talk is all designed to capture their attention. If you lose their attention in the first 2 minutes, you've lost them for a 30-minute keynote. They're not going to come back. There are ways to get them back, but most people just pull out their phones, get onto email, Facebook, or leave the room, right? It's too hard to get back into your presentation. And so the first part of your keynote, what you need are 3 critical elements. One of them is a relatable factor. Notice how we started this, nationalities. Where are you from? It relates, it connects, right? So something that really relates. And that's where you can use a callback. You could build on a joke that was said in the last presentation. It connects the whole room, and it makes you one of them. It makes them one of you, and you're all in this together. The next element is you need a big claim. And now a big claim is something so interesting, people will put away their phones and go, I have to listen to this. It turns their necks. It goes, really? He's got to be talking about that? Oh, great. Now you've got their attention. So a big claim. And the very last thing you need, because you're going up to a pretty big statement here, is you need to break the ice. You need a laugh. An icebreaker, getting people to laugh, relaxes people. It relaxes them and it relaxes you. And it gives you permission to be funny again throughout your presentation. And it gives them permission to laugh again. And it's just a great thing to have. So really a laugh of any kind. It can be a joke. And often if it comes after the big claim, you've sort of built it up. Whoa. And then you've sort of made fun of it a little bit. That can be a great emotional range to just start off the keynote. And basically people in the room are just going, I like this guy. I like this girl. I'm going to listen to this keynote, right? So you've got their attention. That's what the first part is, an attention grabber.
Chris, can I connect with that? So a question about, okay, if we have different cultures or different industries, different types of people in the audience, some are not like into jokes, some are really into bad jokes, some are really, what then? What's your choice as a speaker?
So understand the culture, understand where you're at, understand the local ecosystem. Who are you speaking to? This is the most important thing with speaking. Who are you speaking to, right? What do they want? What do they need? What are their challenges? What's on their mind? So speak to that. So that's part of your research. And you will know if a specific type of joke will work for them because you've done the research. You know that. And what I do, I test it up front. I get there early and I might have a sandwich with someone and I might actually say the joke, see if they laugh. Right. And if they do, I know it's going to work on stage as well because they're representative of that audience. So know your audience, know where you're at, whether you're in India. Like in India, I'll probably use, and most people that say yes actually go like this, right? Well, when I'm talking about the auditory segment, when they go like this, they agree. Except for in India, they go like this, right? That'll make Indians laugh. That'll make anybody laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. People love laughter. That's why comedians are the best public speakers of all.
So right? tell us in the chat. Say yes if you like jokes. Just type yes.
So while they're typing yes, let's move on because I see we've got about 40 minutes, so we've still got a lot to cover. Mm-hmm. Really, what happens after this is you drop into story one. It's that simple. Story one. And story one may actually make 2 points.
Thank you.
And each of these points may have a slide if you need it, or it doesn't. Oh, there's a lot of yeses.
Yeah, of course.
Once you've told story one, it's very simple. You move on to story two. And story two may have 3 points. Now, you may tell the 3 points, but if you don't have enough time, you may actually stick to 2 because you didn't need the third one. So every story has a range. This story might be 2 to 5 minutes. This one might be 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how you're feeling, depending on the vibe, depending on how the audience is reacting, depending on if you're getting a question, depending on many things. And then once you've done story 2, well, guess what? You move on to story 3. But you don't have to start with a story and make a point. Sometimes you can start with a point and make a story and back it up with a story. So it might be a point backed up with story 3. And this would be analogous to, for example, in the presentations, we often have slides with quotes by, Albert Einstein, for example, right? And it might say something like, technology accelerates the pace of change, right? And it might be a tech conference. And yeah, I've heard this quote before. And a lot of speakers just show the quote and then move on to the next slide. It doesn't mean anything. To give it meaning, you need to give it the perspective that you have on that quote. And so you back the quote up with a story. So all there is on the slide is just the earth and then technology accelerates the pace of change, recognize who came up with the quote. And then you tell a personal story. Let's say you're the CEO of Dell and you're the newly appointed CEO. Dell's about to go out of business because of the crisis, and you're the newly appointed CEO, and you're at a channel event because they sell most of their stuff through channel partners, right? When the CEO puts up this quote, and he tells a personal story that most people don't know. 15 years ago, I had my own startup. And we were growing very fast, but we weren't listening to our customers. Our customers were adopting mobile phones. They were adopting social technology. They were adopting all these things. And we were really focusing on our business, as you should. And we totally underestimated how technology accelerates things, because it just started to move so quickly. And well, unfortunately, and fortunately too, I had to go through a large bankruptcy, which taught me a big lesson, but my company died. And that's a mistake I'm not going to be doing here. I'm not going to be doing at Dell, because at Dell, we're not going to underestimate the pace of change technology creates. And of course, their channel partners, they're all in the technology and distribution of their products. This is something that really resonates with them. And now they're really liking this CEO because he's brought a personal story to a quote that embodies the industry, right? So that's how you would do that. And then guess what? You go on to next, story 4. And story 4 might actually have 3 points. And you would tell the story, make the points. A point may have a slide if you need it. If you can't say it in words and need to back it up with a little bit of visual, then you have a slide with it. You might actually have a backup story, a story 5, that you will only say if you've got enough time. And then to finish off your presentation, which is really how you close things up, right? That should be clinical. You know exactly how long this is. And this is how you always finish your presentations on time. When you know you're closing, and if it takes 3 minutes, you know that if you've got a 40-minute keynote and you're at 37 minutes, I've got to wrap up this story and I've got to go to my finish. Because in the finish, what you have is 2 things. You have takeaways and you have next steps. Takeaways, do people a favor. You've heard this before. The best way to present is tell them what you're going to say, tell them, and tell them what you just said. This is really important because you've just delivered a whole bunch of information. You know what that information is. You're prepared. This is your story. They're hearing it for the first time. So make it easy for them to take away the essential, the most important things. And so you might have 3 key things that you were trying to get across in that keynote. And those are your takeaways. Sum it up for them. You could use a slide for that. And very, very important, and what a lot of speakers fail at, is driving action through their keynotes. A lot of speeches are done because my manager told me to make a speech. What if you could drive more results out of those speeches? And this is where you need to set objectives for yourself. What do I want to manifest out of this keynote? What results do I want? And this lines up with your next steps, which is lined up with your objectives. And next steps is really, what do they need to do next? They're going, great, this was a great keynote. I understand. It's awesome. I see a lot of value in this. It's great information. Now, what should I do next? People are pretty dumb. They're like monkeys at the end of a presentation. You need to guide them. You need to lead them, because that's what you are as a leader. You're leading an industry, a group. And so what do they need to do next? And that lines up with your strategic objectives, whether it's signing up for your newsletter, whether it's following you on social media, whether it's buying your book, whether it's coming to your training. It's very important, because this is going to generate the results for you to grow your speaker business. And so this is a story map. It has breathing room. It allows you to always finish on time. It allows you to always have a no problems attitude. And also do it with pen and paper. Never do it digitally. Not in the first round. Pen and paper, because and I'd even use pencil, and I have my rubber and my pencil here. That's all I have. And so I can rub things out. I can correct things. I don't have to go and draw the speech map or the story map all over again. And
I heard when you write that, it goes in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a really powerful story on this particular point, but we'll skip it now because we've got a bit of
30 minutes, and Biana has asked it. Kim already answered him. There will be a replay of this webinar, so you can watch it at any time back. It will be promoted on the YouTube channel of bookingworldspeakers.com and assembleespeakers.com. And we have a big surprise at the end of this webinar. So we hope you still join us, because I'm so excited of that surprise at the end.
Yeah, and Maurice, this story mapping is in lesson 5 of the course, and I go into great detail on how to do that.
And Chris is even, you have a template that you can download. So people in the chat, for everybody who's listening and watching today, if you do the course on Chris's website, 10x Speaker website, there he has a template ready for you that you can start playing around with and practice.
We will send that to all the people in this webinar, how you should check in. There's another question, Rihanna. How do I not sound as what is it? Can you see it, Renske?
Not totally. It's a little bit blocked because she's the last comment to see right now.
Okay, you can scroll it, but how?
Yeah, but it didn't really refresh. Oh, how do I not?
How do I not stand as though I'm doing a training?
Yeah,
I see it from Rihanna.
Yeah.
How do I not stand? Oh, how do I not sound as though I'm doing a training? So one thing, trainings are often highly auditory, Rihanna. Trainings are about information that people are coming there to get enabled with a process, with a way of thinking. It's very, very auditory. A keynote is very different. Keynotes are all about emotional connection, because at the end of the day, people don't remember what you say. If you ran into that person 10 years from now and said, do you remember any words that I said throughout my keynote? What are you talking about? People don't remember what you say. They won't even remember what you do. People remember how you made them feel, because feelings give rise to emotions, and it's emotions that makes memories stick. And so what you need to do in a keynote is create emotional connections. And the way you do that is you leverage story, because story is a great way to have people feel and emote and be emotional. And that triggers memory retention, and that trigger allows for information retention. Now, great workshops will apply this principle. It's just, and I do this in 10x speaker trainings, and I can tell you, people go nuts with it, except it's exhausting. It's exhausting to be laughing and crying and emoting the whole day. It's like at the end of the day, you're exhausted. And that sometimes you have a 30-minute keynote where that was pretty exhausting. I laughed, I cried. I'm glad it's over in 30 minutes. Imagine you had that for a full day. And so how do I not sound as though I'm doing a training? In a keynote environment, ask yourself the question, how do I want people to feel after they hear me speak? This is my primary question. I have 3 feelings that should be synonymous with my voice: presence, inspiration, and energy. I want people to feel present in the room. And for them to feel present, I need to feel present. People feel how you feel. For them to feel inspired, I need to feel inspired. For them to feel energized, I need to feel energized. If I'm not inspired by what I say, I'm not going to be able to inspire anybody in that room. So how do you want people to feel? And then leverage story, personal story, anecdotal stories, metaphorical stories, investment stories. There are many different types of stories in order to have people become emotional about the content that you're trying to get across. And when you do that, you're going to be highly charismatic in your trainings. On the one side, it's going to be much more effective with information retention. On the other side, people are going to become exhausted. So you're going to have to take more breaks. You're going to have to give them some more hands-on, more reflection time. And because it's going to be very intense. You can see the way I'm speaking, it's very intense. This is keynote speaking. And doing this in a workshop, it's very intense. So you need to cater for that.
Chris, can we answer the questions after the webinar? Because I see so many questions. Would you love to do that for us? And even I just see one question, and I think it resonates with a lot of people. How we are all now more doing virtual presence, and of course I experienced it beginning of the lockdown, I started to do these webinars. And next Tuesday, by the way, I'm bringing Arjan Erkel, Ferry Zandvliet, and Jozef Ubergas back together, but now in English. They have a life-changing story. One was kidnapped for almost 2 years. The other one was in prison without a reason for 637 days. And the third one survived the attacks in Paris, the Bataclan. How do you deal with it? So Tuesday is that webinar at 11 a.m. Central European time, so Amsterdam time. So happy to join us there. But that question, virtual events, virtual presentation, how can we engage more with people we don't see? I think
so. I've got a little recipe for that. Rule number 1, have a good internet connection. Oh my God, if your internet connection dies, it's useless. It doesn't matter what you have to say, right? So, and that fails so many times.
I experienced it before.
Yeah. Rule number 2, have good sound. Sound is so important in a virtual environment. Maybe your video fails because the bandwidth is getting low or there's stress on the system. Sound is critical. Number 3, the visual part. Make it more you and less the slides. Because we hide behind our slides. You'll see it on a stage. People will creep to the corner of the podium. They'll stand behind the lectern. They'll point to the slides. Don't look at me. Look at the slides. And they're trying to get the attention off them. Remember what we were talking about in the beginning, that spotlight effect? The natural reaction when the spotlight's put on you, if you're not comfortable with that, you're going to try and direct the spotlight to something else. And often who gets the blame or the credit is the slides. It's on the slides. And so we put all our information up there. And at the end of the day, some presentations, you have no business being on stage. You may as well just send out a memo, have them download a PDF, or just put a handout. Here's the information. I'll be on my way. In a virtual environment, we're not physically connected anymore. There's no flesh-to-flesh connection, not like a real live event where you're smelling people sweat and people are laughing and you're hearing it over there. I can't hear you laugh now, right? I can't hear you cry. I can't hear the kids screaming in the background. I can't hear the jackhammer going on outside. There's a lot of stuff missing. And what's ultimately missing is the human connection. So don't hide behind your slides. Get comfortable looking at the camera, looking at the people, because they're looking at you. I'm sure you're looking at me too. And only use slides when they actually add value to your story.
True.
Right? So notice I don't have any slides, but I've set up this studio. I was lucky. I don't know if it was foresight. No, it wasn't foresight at all. It was just plain laziness. December, I took off. My sister came from Australia. Love my sister. She was here for 4 weeks. We watched Netflix, like binged on it for like 4 weeks. But I invested like about €1,000 setting up a little studio in my attic. It was the best investment I'd ever made, because when the lockdown hit, I was able to get straight down to business and film that course. I filmed it in 2 weeks. It was out by 10th of April. And it's due to just me having a space to present and do the presentations. And now I use this, and it's great because it's you can touch it. It's paper, and it's digital, right? So there's nothing real. But when you've got this, it feels a little bit more real. And plus it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to prepare any slides. Most of us, when we have to give presentations, it's 10% for the presentation, 90% preparing the slides for the presentation. So for me, I just get on a webinar, I turn up to a keynote, and it's just like 15 minutes, draw out a story map, and I'm done. And so those are the 4 tips: internet connection, good sound, make sure that you're visible, that you are connecting in the humanest way possible through technology, and only have slides if they actually add information. And really add information. The best KPI for that, the key performance indicator, is people are saying, I love the slide you shared. Could you please share it with me? Where could I download it? Because they love the slide. Like putting up a slide that's just lacks information, it's just hiding. And it just wastes everyone's time. Plus, it puts you at a serious disadvantage because they can't see you anymore. There's no connection anymore. There are many more. I should probably make a lesson on this. I will at some point. But those are the top 4.
I'm so excited for the last part, about 20 minutes we have on this webinar. And it's all connecting with your industry, Renske. It's all connected with music, of course. I think life must be music for all of us. Not many people, maybe more and more people starting to know about bookingworldspeakers.com. And that is my mission in life, to help each other and focus on the story to tell. We all have a story, we all have a purpose, we all have a mission. I think I love to share the trailer again if you like that. So in 2 minutes, we dive in.
Oh, now? Are you going to share the trailer now?
It's okay for you?
Yeah, fine. It's a great trailer.
If you want to change the world,
Put your small.
change your story.
If you want to change the world,
Why don't you let that sink in for a minute?
if you want to change
Have you
the
ever
world,
wondered what we're best at?
change your
What
story.
makes people people?
Have you ever wondered what we're best
It's
at? Why don't you let
storytelling.
that sink in for a minute?
We're addicted to captivating,
Have you ever wondered
exciting,
what we're
wonderful,
best at?
engaging
What
stories.
makes people people?
It's what we do.
It's storytelling.
Stories are the basis of human connection.
We're addicted
It's in
to
our DNA.
captivating, exciting,
It's what makes up
wonderful,
our
engaging
thoughts,
stories.
our world,
It's in our
our
DNA.
economy,
You'll
even
leave
our
on mute,
physical
Renske.
well-being. But we got
Stories
a
are the
little
basis
lost
of human
along the way.
connection. It's in our DNA.
Negativity and
It's what
fear
makes up
seem
our
to be
thoughts, our
thriving
world,
in search of
economy,
clicks and shares.
even our physical
Our
well-being.
normal way of
got a
storytelling
little
slowly
lost.
became mass media consumption, numbers, news,
Negativity
social
and fear
overload.
seem to be thriving in search of clicks and shares.
But what if this
Our
new
normal
normal
way of
isn't
storytelling
normal
slowly
to begin
became
with?
mass media consumption, numbers, news, social
Maybe we ought to
overload.
slow down a little. Take a minute to look outside.
But what if
Make a
this
real
new normal
connection
isn't normal
with the one
to begin
thing
with?
we're all part of.
Maybe we ought to slow down a little.
Especially
minute to
now,
look
it
outside.
seems essential to reconnect,
Make a real
to
connection
adapt,
with the one
reset,
thing we're all
spread
part of.
positivity and purpose. If you want to change the world,
Especially now,
change your
it seems
story.
essential to reconnect,
So maybe you're not that much of an individual.
reset, spread
After all,
positivity and purpose.
it takes more than one person to get a
If you
story
want to
across.
change the world,
So the
change your
real
story.
question is, what kind of world
So
do
maybe
you
you're
want
not
to live
that much of an
in? What
individual.
story do you want to
After all,
tell?
it takes more than one person.
We are back.
We had a bit of an echo on the video. That's okay. You can also watch it on bookingworldspeakers.com. It's right at the top of the homepage. It's a great video. The echo got a little bit in the way, but I think people got the message.
Kim already shared the link. So it's, yeah. So that's the connection with your last story. Sound must be perfect. Yeah, and to share a bit the background. In 2008, a lot of American speakers were connecting with me in Europe. I want to speak in Europe more often, and I had that simple question: what's your personal mission? And most of them only had 3 answers. Only 3 answers. Oh, that's a good question. Or second answer was, I want to have so many gigs at the end of the year. Or the third, I will send you my bio and my fee. And this is really that made me sick at the moment. I thought, do I really belong in this money-driven industry? Because that's not a personal mission. It's showing who you are, who I am, how can we live in this beautiful planet together and help each other, give value to each other. And even on stage, you reach far more many people. And the difference between virtual and offline stages, of course, that maybe engagement is a little bit lower with the people in chat, but you can reach far more different cultures. You can learn from one another. So I hope this is not your first time engaging with us. I hope we will start this story and start this movement together, because there's so much to do after this lockdown. So I'm so really happy that so many people joined us on this webinar, and I see so many people that I met before on my trip from 2008 to where I'm now. And in fact, bookingworldspeakers.com is just a community where we are there for each other. And you, of course, you can being booked and being visible to more people in the world. But that's not the only thing. That's not the most important thing. Help each other. Everybody has a mission. Everybody has a mission. So believe in that, feel in that. Take that one step and connect with other people, because nobody can do this alone. Even I cannot do this alone. Just feel it. Feel what you have to do in this world.
We have 15 minutes left. What else did you want to share, Chris and Maurice?
So we had a surprise for the group. Also, it's a very special surprise. It's something that Maurice has never done before. And even I don't have this surprise yet. So Maurice, could you let us know the special offer that you have for the people watching either live or in the replay? It's a limited offer that we're making available. It's a collaboration between Booking World Speakers and 10x Speaker. It's a very special package. It's for the ones that are serious in growing and sharing and educating and really connecting with a world of speaking and storytelling. Mm-hmm. And if I can leave it to you now, and then I'll come back in with the 10x Speaker side of it.
Sure. I already said I'm a connector, and even in this lockdown, I was opening my eyes from, who am I? Who can I do the collaboration with? Like I started a collaboration with the Avatar company. So beginning of August, there will be a new worldwide platform to reach people with your VR glasses and engage in that way. A new world. It's more like gamification, but it's all about how can we reach the stories in the world. I started a partnership with my friend Jerry Morris. I didn't know him before. He's living in Adelaide. He has Book Speakers Direct, and he does the same. He launched actually in the same month last year with Book Speakers Direct that I did with bookingworldspeakers.com. And it's collaboration. And with Keith Ferrazzi, one of my webinars was with Keith Ferrazzi. He published his book about leading without authority. It's all about having a mission and co-elevate, add value to each other. So, funny enough, when we saw so many people signing up for this webinar, I told Chris, always too late, can we offer them a gift? Huh?
Yesterday, you said it yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Can we offer something special that we really want to share, that we keep that community going? And this is what I want to share you. Is it okay that I share it with you?
Do it. You're building up a lot of attention for it, so people are probably really curious now.
So this is our offer. I offer a membership, and I saw some people who already signed up for bookingworldspeakers.com, but please cancel that membership and go for this one, because in a few minutes time, I will show you why. I offer you a membership on bookingworldspeakers.com only for one amount of money, no other cost. So it's a value of 4,970 euros, dollars. It's called dollars. And I will help you in 3 meetings, coaching calls to set up your profile on bookingworldspeakers.com. Then, it's your turn, Chris, huh?
Yeah, so in the collaboration, what we've done is, platforms are incredible. Most of my business is coming through Maurice, through bookingworldspeakers.com. It's one of the reasons why I grew as a speaker. Maurice, I have him to thank for pretty well everything. Like, I would never be where I was without him today. And I believe in the mission of Booking World Speakers, so much so I'm a founding member of it. And what I wanted to do was really make a collaboration with 10x Speaker. We have a course up there that's pretty well priceless. Who here in the chat has actually taken that course? Like, just say yes in the chat if you're a course graduate. I know there are many course graduates on the call here that have taken the course. So put it in the chat. And next to your yes, if you could put on a scale of 1 to 10, how valuable was it for you? Like 10 being very valuable, 1 being crap. Just put it in the chat and I'll keep talking because there's a little bit of delay between what I say and when it comes in the chat. I call it priceless. It's 10 of the most powerful lessons I can give you right now. You don't get it all at once. I don't want you binge watching this. You get it over 10 days through email. It builds habit, and it's one of the best things that you can do. Over 10,000 people have taken the course. Over 1,000 people have graduated. I've had one-on-one calls with hundreds of the people. I know that this course works. It's a very advanced course, and it's part of this package. Now, if you take the package of Maurice, and you'll see the price on the next slide, I will give you 3 coaching calls. And in these coaching calls, we are going to set out a plan for you to grow your speaker business, to grow your business through speaking, where in the first call, we're going to set goals and work on your personal branding. In the second call, I'm going to do some story coaching, really finding what is your story and getting that into a structure that you can start presenting with speech crafting. And in the third call, it's all going to be about strategy and planning, how to get stage time and how to get booked so you start generating revenue through your story. And Booking World Speakers is, of course, one of the platforms where you can start getting booked, connect with other speakers, connect with event managers. And I have inbound requests coming from platforms. Booking World Speakers is driving the most of them. And that's allowing me to be booked. Right now it's virtual, but come next year, we'll be back to physical events. So it's just temporary that with this virtual stuff. So that is the offer that I can give you, the 10 lessons in the course and 3 one-on-one coaching calls with me as part of the package that Maurice is about to offer you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris, for explaining the bonus sessions of this motion. And don't forget, we only can give that to only 50 people because you, Chris, and I are really much engaging, giving a lot of time to the people, finding their purpose, their unique selling proposition. I'm really excited to offer this together with you because it's all about improving the skills of you as speaker. Finding your personal mission and go further. And yeah, I can do this like from this is not the price, this is not the price, this is not the price, but let me show it because I love to share this with you. So all this is only for $497. And the only thing what you have to do is just send an email to info@bookingworldspeakers.com and in topic I am in, and we will let you know the instructions going to the 10 lessons helping you signing up on bookingworldspeakers.com, and we are starting the next journey together with you.
Thanks for sharing, guys. Is this the only place where people can, if they want to have this information again before applying, they have 48 hours. Do they have another place where they can get the information again?
We are here, of course, to answer some questions if you have. We only wanted to make it as easy as possible. Mm-hmm. So simply send an email to info@bookingworldspeakers.com and I'm in. And we know that we take you from there.
Okay, so everybody that is interested, go to info@ bookingworldspeakers.com. I am in. I'm curious how fast it's going to be full, guys. We have only a few minutes left before it's 3:30 here, Amsterdam time. Are there people that want to put some... Is there somebody that has a question for Maurice or Chris? For me, that's also fine. But regarding the subject of today, please.
Yeah, I think what we forgot to tell them, how do I see the future of the event and speaking?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, when you are a speaker, I see so many speakers in the room, what I'm thinking. Nobody knows yet if here in the Netherlands, we're starting to go open again, organizing events. In America, it's still worse. Australia, for example, ups and downs. Some countries are doing good, but it's again, to bring it to the circle of life, it's the fear. It's not only organizing the events, but how do you get the right people in?
Mm-hmm.
So what you saw in the last couple of months, a lot of new startups with avatars, with all kind of digital platforms to connect the people. Because what you saw in that video, in the trailer, we are all connected through stories, human stories. And that's so much important. So what I know, and what you see in the Netherlands, for example, the 1.5 meters, in France is it 1 meter? It's a guy in England, I guess, who invented that. We are human beings, like animals. We want to connect, not only with words. We want to hug, we want to feel, and we want to share other feelings to other people. I think what we see now is the more we are restricted to that, the more intense we are going into the next journey, into the next decade. Mm-hmm. The more you say, don't do it, like children, you know, Chris, we have young children, don't do it, then they are curious to do it. The more you don't allow people, don't do it, the more curious we are going to be. Mm-hmm. And that's what we lost the last couple of years, to become curious, to become creative, to become you and me is we. It was only I. So I think we are going to a very beautiful way where we all are more connected with one another, because the virtual events now reach more cultures than the offline events. And I'm not going to say that offlines are there not anymore, but it will be more exclusive and connecting with online events. So hybrid, that's what they call it now. Chris, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting prepared for that with 10x Speaker. You know, hybrid, it's blended learning. Many universities have been implementing that over the last decade, right? Travel is one of the most, it's beautiful, of course. You can see and experience the world, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort. And now that we can access information online, it's not as necessary as it used to be. You used to have to go to the classroom. Now you can do most of it offline. But where there's a human connection that's needed, that's when you need to get in the physical. And so I'm getting ready with that with 10x Speaker, where we're going to have a blended environment of physical trainings, full day trainings, and virtual expert clinics, coaching sessions, one-on-one to group, and masterminds, where we've got sort of people really vested into helping each other grow. And that is the transformation I'm having to make with 10x Speaker. And I think millions of companies around the world are having to make right now, not just the events industry, but companies as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Renske?
Well, to add on this, coming from the music industry, we DJs are out of work right now, and I do see a lot of VR related things popping up here and there. However, we all agree there is nothing else than the real human contact and interaction, especially while dancing together, right? So luckily we can meet here in more online environments. However, it will never replace the human contact, I believe. Yeah.
What I said, what I'm thinking, it will be more intense when we are coming back and when we can come back. Because
Plus, if I could add a little bit on the story, the power of story in these times. Oh boy, some people have got the most incredible stories through this lockdown. Yeah. How they've faced adversity, how they've had to transform their business, how they've had to deal with their kids, maybe have a new child in these. And then
with my wife.
and it's not ending. We're going to hit some rough times, and it's going to last a few years. Now, where the biggest emotions are the biggest stories. And where the biggest stories are the biggest teaching moments. And so don't underestimate the pain, the struggle, the fear that you're going through, because that's where your stories are found. We didn't cover story journaling today, but that's one of the ways that you actually translate an emotion to a story and a teaching moment on the stage. So don't underestimate the opportunity we're in right now as human beings trying to deal with this virus. It's a natural course of events. It's inevitable. It'll happen again. And it's just about recognizing that what you're going through is, and if you can translate that to something that other people can find value in, oh my God, that's you don't have to be a speaker. You can inspire your organization, your family, your team through powerful storytelling.
It's really true. It's really true. Thank you for all the compliments in the chat. We are now 90 minutes. If you have any questions for Chris, for Renske, don't forget, for me, for the most valuable offer, what we did today, to just one amount, and then you belong to bookingwellspeakers.com for all your life. It's a lifetime, no other cost. So engage with us. The 10 lessons that Chris is sharing with you, it's very impactful. I did it myself. I still want to repeat it again and again because I loved the learning skills so much. Thank you so much, Renske, for having you in this webinar. Asking you, Chris asked you yesterday, and you said yes. I think you are a great example for more people. Just say yes. Just say yes. Feel, do, and just say yes. Like Chris is always saying yes.
Oh, no problem. It's another way to say yes.
The no problem attitude. Yes.
Maybe for another webinar, always say yes. And those people in the chat. Yeah, it's amazing from all places. I want to visit you. I want to see you. I want to feel you in person. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully I will see you next time in our next webinar again. Don't forget, send an email to info@bookingworldspeakers.com with, I show it again. Let me see. So belong, I am in, to info@bookingworldspeakers.com. When you want to show your story to the world, to more event organizers, to simply also other great purpose-driven speakers who have a mission. Let's go elevate with the words of Keith Ferrazzi, who is also signed up on bookingworldspeakers.com. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. And love to see you back again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
for coming over from 10X Speaker too. I know there were a lot of people from 10X Speaker here. Thank you for coming. As I said in my emails, you're my heroes. You're really the ones that are courageous enough to actually do something about it. So thank you very much for that.
I still remember you, Chris, like what you did last time. You was just staying in this webinar. Everyone was gone and you just was staying in there.
That's why this time I wanted to play some music.
Yeah, I was like, I want to also thank the people that came from the music industry. They probably saw something on my social media. So thank you. And I hope it was valuable for you too. And I think I know it was valuable. As we said, there are so many similarities between those worlds.
Actually, I know we weren't able to cover like how to connect with your audience, and we didn't dive deeper into actually
That's
story.
a good one.
That's all in the course. How to connect. It's the most popular lesson. It's lesson 7 of the course. And storytelling, the power of storytelling that actually sells, that's lesson 8. It's all in the course. And when you're taking the course, you can ask me anything. You can email me. It comes directly to my inbox. I answer everything.
Let's value each other. Thank you so much. Now we have to go. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.